Hello everyone, Vickieverlie here, Rock and Roll Prophetess. Today we're going to talk about a really, my guides are coming through with already monumental shift and turning point, astrologically speaking. And what I'm talking about, of course, is the Neptune and Saturn conjunction in the sign of Aries. Now this is happening on February 20th. Now we had a little bit of taste of it, sort of, last year. Neptune and Saturn were both in Aries for a little bit of time. We had, well, Neptune was in Aries from March 30th through October 23rd of 2025. And Saturn was in Aries from May 25th to September 1st of 2025. So while we had a taste of it, it was not that exact conjunction. And the 0 point is the big deal. I offer every year, I'm offering it now, these Aries ingress readings, and I offer it for a reason. Because the 0 Aries point is a point of new beginnings. It's the first degree of the first sign of the entire zodiac. And then, of course, the Aries ingress every year, when the sun moves into there, in the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere, this is, you know, the new astrological new year. So it's a new year, but it's a new, I mean, it's so powerful. A friend of mine looked it up, and it was 4,361 BC is the last time that we had a Neptune-Saturn conjunction at this 0 Aries point. So it's a major, major reset. You know, she suggested that this probably has to do with past lives even, dating all the way back then. And it can be, because Saturn is the lord of the karma. It absolutely can be, you know, a clearing of karma for sure. You know, it's a monumental new beginning. And it's interesting because this is happening on February 20th, and exactly 1 month later, on March 20th, we have the Aries ingress, which of course I'm offering that reading, and we will discuss this whole thing in your reading too. But at that point, I already know, because I've done so many of these readings already, you know, this is 1 month later, and Saturn has moved to 4 degrees. And the Neptune is still like barely at 1 degree. So it's still, we're swimming in the soup, we're swimming in the juice of this very vibrant and high energetic, monumental, as my guides keep coming through with, monumental aspects. So what is a conjunction anyway? I was going to explain this. This came through in somebody's reading recently. I thought it was a really good analogy. Think of how, if you have 2 magnets, and you hold them, you put them together and they stick together, that's a conjunction. That's the most powerful part. But if you pull them apart, you can still feel the energy, right? When you pull the 2 magnets apart and you get into this certain, I'm sure as a kid, we used to do this all the time, maybe you didn't, but I did. It was amazing to me, because you'd hold the magnets apart and then you'd start feeling the energy, you'd start feeling the vibe, even though they weren't touching, even though they weren't joined together yet, the 2 magnets. You could feel the energy. Well, that's what an orb is. And that's kind of what maybe we were swimming in a little bit last year. Well, they were both in the signs. They weren't conjuncto. But when they come together, snap, that's an exact connection. That's when the energy is strongest. But again, while it's an orb, and it'll still be an orb as we hit that Aries ingress, the magnetism, the energy, the field of resonance will still be active, and we'll still be feeling it. So it's not only on that day. It's not like it's a one and done kind of a thing. It's setting off a chain of events. Now, with the, I mean, it could be, what's 4,361 BC plus 2,000 more? It could be a 6,000 year cycle, apparently, that we're setting off here, you know, so it's that big. But like I say, with the Aries ingress, it accounts for at least the next quarter year, if not the next full year, because it's the astrological new year. Yeah, so it's all about the Aries energy, which is that new beginning, being that trailblazer, starting out on that new beginning. It is also, another big thing is because Neptune, the way I'm kind of looking at it as just an overall sense, I mean, there's much more things to unpack about it, but Neptune is the dream and Saturn is the reality. So something that we're dreaming about is becoming a reality. We can make the dream into a 3D physical reality. Also with the Neptune, we could see clearly about these karmic situations. That's another big thing that it's could be. Neptune is also spirituality, it's creativity, so we could be starting on a new path in the physical world, bringing in this muse energy, you know, communing with our higher selves, communing with the muse, bringing in these vibes. What I've noticed, and this is something I started doing recently too, I started playing out again, I'm doing some solo gigs, Aries, and I've seen so many of people on social media, acquaintances of mine, well, a lot of my people are artists and musicians anyway, you know, but a lot of musicians that are, you know, in my age range, you know, in their 50s and 60s, you know, they are, they're starting to play out again. So there's Aries, this Neptune bringing music, and Aries, you know, they're going to start playing music again, you know, because it's almost like, too, with the Neptune, it's like rediscovering your soul path and then initiating it in the sign of Aries. Okay, well, we're going to go sign by sign, and we can dive in a little deeper. Again, if you want to go really deep, the Aries Ingress, we'll look at this, as well as the eclipses. It's a really powerful reading this year. Available only through my website, by the way. Don't be fooled by imposters. Okay, let's go ahead and do Aries. Well, Aries, this is your jam. This is all about you. This is the moment you've been waiting for. This is what you were born to do. You know, you are the trailblazer. You are the new beginning. Now, you've had the Saturn come through there before, 96 through 99. And this particular conjunction would have occurred in 1996 for those of us old enough to remember. So it's good to think about that time frame, but Neptune was not present at that time. Neptune is bringing a whole nother dimension, a whole nother, you know, aspect to it. Neptune brings in the spiritual stuff. Where Saturn can bring in hard work and determination, Neptune brings in the dream. This is living the dream. This is finding your true soul path. This is discovering your connection to spirit, your connection to the muse, your connection to higher forces. So, I mean, it's super, super powerful. And you are the trailblazer leading the way. Now let's go ahead and get 2 cards for Aries. This is just a short read. Again, if you want to get the Aries Ingress reading, we'll dive into where the planets are and the whole shebang. But let's do 2 cards for just Aries for the Neptune-Saturn conjunction. 8 of Pentacles, what you're working on, and Death. So you may change course. Yeah, definitely. Death is just a big change. Some of you may retire. If you've been working a long time and you're in the age range of retiring, you may decide you're just going to retire now. You know, I don't need to work anymore. I'm going to just pursue the things that I really love to do. You're going to be pursuing the things you really love to do, or is advised to. Like I was saying, the Neptune is what you were born to do, and bringing that dream back into the reality and doing your creative work, doing the thing where you lose track of time, the thing that makes you lose track of time, lose track of, you're just so into it and hours fly by. Death is just a big change, and you will be changed by this. I mean, I'm not surprised to see the Death card come up in your cards here, Aries, honestly, because you will be changed by this, and you will be transformed by it. But you can harness that energy and use it to really light up whatever lights you up. It doesn't necessarily have to be the arts as a creative thing. Maybe whatever lights you up. Maybe reading, writing, whatever you are into. This would be something that you do for pleasure. And for many, it could turn out to be a vocation where you would earn money from it with the 8 of Pentacles. Okay. Next, we're going to move on to the sign of Taurus. All right, Taurus, so this is occurring in the 12th house of the past, of spirit guides and angels. This is also, Saturn in the 12th is a big clearing house of karmic situations, past life things, clearing it out. The Neptune can give you the awareness and the, to say, oh, now I see these old patterns that I have to break. I see what I have to let go of. I see what no longer serves me and I need to put in the past. Because next will be, they'll all be moving into your sign. Well, Saturn will move in again in a couple of years, maybe 3 years or so. Neptune's going to be a little longer. I did forget to check. I think it's about 12 to 15 years or something it stays in a sign. But, so this is the past. This is a clearing house. This is connecting with spirit guides and angels. Saturn is your family, your heritage. Maybe, seeing those patterns of that you want to break, that you were born into with the Saturn energy. Okay, let's go ahead and get 2 cards for our Taurus friends for the upcoming time. If you want to really dive into your chart and look at the eclipses and everything too, you might want to check out that reading I have. Okay, first you have 10 of Cups, and secondly you have the Queen of Pentacles, which is a representation of you. Well, 10 of Cups is the ultimate card of joy, happiness. It's known as the marriage card. It is a relationship card in many cases, but it also is just the most happiness, joy you could find. Perhaps with another earth sign, another Taurus, Virgo, or Capricorn. But lots of joy, lots of happiness. Now, seeing this house, this will be particular to if you have Taurus rising. You know, with this 12th house activation, maybe it's well, for sure it could be somebody from a past life, you know, but it could also be a reconciliation with somebody from the past. And here with the 10 of Cups, the 10 of Cups is not only just a romantic card, it encompasses the whole family. So it could be some kind of reconciliation. If you've had a falling out with a family member, maybe you're all going to get back together again. Or here's what I'm picking up too for some people out there. You may have an ex, and you may not only you broke up with them, but you miss their family, like you were tight with their family too. And you know, that's the thing. Sometimes when we break up with people, we lose friends, we lose their family, you know, we lose contact with all these other people that were more kind of in their circle. But there could be something, reconciliation, or perhaps maybe, you know, like if you were really close with their sister or their mother or somebody, maybe you're just going to carry on and be friends with them anyway. You know, sometimes that's not possible, but sometimes it is. Whatever the case, there's great joy and happiness with a strong tie to the past for many Tauruses. Again, if you want to dive into your personal stuff, this Aries reading this year is really the hot ticket because I do it every year because it's such an important event by itself. But considering this and the eclipses, it's really a big one this year. All right, next we're going to move on to the sign of Gemini. Now, this is happening up in your 11th house of hopes, wishes, and dreams, money from the career, and friends and associates and groups that you belong to. Saturn is always the karmic thing, so we're going to be dealing with karmic situations. And Neptune is dreaming a new vision. Here's another way that the Neptune and Saturn can work together, is that the new vision can take you out of these old Saturnian things where you feel trapped or you feel like you... what am I hearing? And if you feel like you can't go on, and your light needs to shine all alone, alone. What is that song? It's Zeppelin. And you feel like you can't go on. Hey, I know what it feels because I can be there in the very depths of my soul. Whoa, whoa. I don't know, it's a Zeppelin tune. Da-da, da-da, dum, dum, da. I can't think of the name of it, but that's coming through. So, what did I say? And when you feel like you can't go on, Neptune can light your path and show you the way because it's very spiritual. Joining in with some spiritual groups or even creative groups or whatever you're, you know, what gives you peace. Neptune can be, you know, you can use Neptune as an energy of what brings you peace. You know, what brings you peace, what calms your nervous system. And then Saturn is you can bring it into the real world here. So through you, it could be more the groups that you're belonging to, joining a spiritual group, joining a creative group, even if it's not, even if you don't consider yourself an artist. You know, there's nothing wrong with doing a writing workshop or, you know, going into a lot of art classes, art therapy, music therapy. You don't have to know how to play or how to draw. You can. It's just connecting with that energy. So many of you could maybe benefit from something like that, especially the writer's thing or the writer's workshop, or going to a poetry jam kind of a thing and hooking up with these types of people. You know, the writer types. Or here, 2 cards flew out. Death, 4 of Pentacles, and Death. Well, 4 of Pentacles is telling you to let go of something that you're doing just for money. With this is something that you're doing just for money. You may not be able to let go of it right this minute, you know, I get that. But this is opening the door and opening the way to show you that maybe there's another way. And strongly through these groups it could come in. Some of you, I'm feeling like you may want to change, if you have investments like a portfolio of some sort of stocks or crypto for sure, you may want to change that. You may want to sell some of that and get rid of it. I feel like because there's gonna be big changes coming, and you may not want to get stuck holding the bag, my guides are saying. Or if you're invested in whatever you have investments in, it may not be stocks or crypto. Maybe you're investing in, you have a property or something like that, whatever it is, whatever you've been putting money into, you may want to go over, and because after all, this is money from the career too. This is one of the money houses. A lot of times I don't think of it that way, but it can be. And with this showing up, that could be the case for many. For others of you, you may need to do something that you've held off on doing because of the monies. You're like, oh, I don't want to spend the money on that because it's, it's this or that. It's frivolous. With Neptune, the Neptunian kind of things can be frivolous. And the Neptunian is diving into the higher consciousness, doing the deep healing work, these types of things. So this may be the time to say, throw caution to the wind and just say, even if you can't do it on the scale that you'd like to do it, so maybe you'd like to do it on this grand scale, but maybe you can do it in smaller increments or smaller steps. And I feel like that could really open up the doors. There's going to be things that you're going to let go of. There's going to be changes. There's going to be changes for everybody. But in your case, it's showing that you need to release or let go of something. And this would be really prevalent too on these eclipses, because eclipses can eclipse things out of your life. And that's something that we'll dive into if you'd like to order that Aries Ingress reading. Okay, Gemini, so next we're going to look at the sign of Cancer. Well, Cancer, as I always remind you when we're doing these types of readings, you are one of the cardinal signs. There's a cardinal cross, okay? And it's Cancer, Capricorn, Aries, Libra. And when a planet or a situation crosses over the cardinal cross, well, when the sun crosses over the cardinal cross, this is the Aries Ingress. This is when these are the seasonal changes. And then it's the solstice when it crosses into your sign in June, etc., etc. So you are getting the square. So often a square really is something that's really can be kind of harsh. It can force a change. Now, again, as I always remind you, you have beautiful Jupiter in your sign this year, and it's going to be, so you're gonna. It could be a gentler thing for you. It may not be so harsh. This is up here in your 10th house of career, of what you're shooting for in life, your goals, your dreams, your highest aspirations. Mostly, it's career house, what you're shooting for in life, and so that could be opening up new doors. Vistas, my guides are saying, new vistas to achieving these big goals and dreams that you have for yourself. Or it could be a completely new goal or dream that you're pursuing. Again, because you have protective Jupiter in your first house, this transition could be not so harsh for you as it might be for some others. Let's go ahead and get the 2 cards for Cancer. Again, if you want to dive deep in where we really look at your chart and all the particulars of your sign, get that Aries Ingress. It's a big one this year. Okay, you have the King of Cups and the Justice card. So the King of Cups is a representation of you. But it also could be another person who is the water sign, the Scorpio, the Cancer, or the Pisces. And you have the Justice card here. So we have some kind of legal thing. Saturn being the lord of the karma, and for many people this can be karmic situations, Justice card can be talking about karmic justice for sure. Ending of a big karmic cycle. If that's the case, it could really be a karmic cycle that maybe you started in the late 90s, 96 through 99, which is the last time that we had Saturn going through this part. But Neptune wasn't there then. But, typically the Justice card is just that. It's some sort of legal thing, signing of contracts, some sort of legal paperwork that has to be signed. And there's all sorts of things that have legal paperwork, attached to them. This is, anything, practically anything these days, you have to sign some kind of paperwork, or there's some kind of legal agreement that you're going to have to go through. The scales being balanced are really coming into focus for me. So they're telling us that things are going to come into balance. And that could be overall, you know, the energy of this Saturn and Neptune, because they're very different. Neptune is of spirit, it's of the higher mind, you know, the spiritual realm, it's not of the earth. Saturn is very much grounded in the earth, it's very much, so they are, it's like grounding these, you know, spirit and intellect, spirit and earth, you know, the heaven and earth, you could call it even. So there can be, you can achieve and find that balance if you strive for that. And again, you are one of the lucky ones who has that beautiful protection of the Jupiter in your sign, so that's going to help you. If you order the Aries Ingress, we'll dive into that Jupiter energy too, but yeah, it's very potent and powerful for everyone. Next, excuse me, next we're going to take a look at the sign of Leo. I need to get a quick sip of water for Leo. All right, Leo, well, this is happening in your 9th house, and Neptune going through your 9th house, because that's a house of spiritual awakenings, of higher learnings, of travel, foreign countries, foreign people. So you're dipping your toe into the water of the unknown, you know, with this Neptune going in your 9th house. You could get really deep into some spiritual stuff. And I'm not saying any kind of, you know, what spiritual stuff, whatever resonates with you. I'm not trying to tell you you have to join a cult or anything, or go along with my belief systems. Whatever, you know, whatever you're called to, you could really feel the call, you know, of your higher self, and there could be learning and study being involved. You know, with Saturn comes the word discipline. You know, so you may get into some sort of a spiritual discipline, or you may learn of some new thing, but it's like maybe you're gonna every day you're gonna, I just drank some water, so maybe you're gonna drink whatever they say, 8 glasses of water every day, which is be Neptune also. Or maybe you're gonna, you know, start doing so many steps a day, or you know, you're gonna do some sort of meditative thing with this, or you're gonna devote some time to your creative pursuits also. But there could be some discipline involved with it, but that's what's going to make it grow and become better. It's not going to, my guys are saying no more willy-nilly. No more willy-nilly, Leo. They come up with some words, I'm telling you. It's dedication. Okay. Let's go ahead and get 2 cards for our Leo. Sun, Rising, Moon, Peaks, 2 of Rods. You're looking, you're making a plan. You're making a plan. 2, double 2s. So even though this isn't in your 7th house of partnership, there's other stuff. There's going to be eclipses in your 7th house of partnership. There's other stuff in your 7th house of partnership. The cards are indicating that this is going to be a strong thing with partnerships too. You may, if we want to apply that to the astrology here, you know, you may meet somebody totally different than you ever thought you'd ever be with. Or somebody from a foreign land, so to speak, or somebody that's just foreign to you, or your usual type, or you never saw yourself partnering up or teaming up with this type of person, or this person, and bang, it happens, you know. Partnerships are strong, and the eclipse is, this isn't an eclipse reading. I did do a whole reading on the eclipse for everyone, an all signs video. You can check that out if you like. But, you know, you do have the eclipse there and Pluto in the 7th house, so partnerships are going to be coming strongly into play for you regardless. But, you know, maybe you have more of a higher spiritual pursuit or maybe you like to travel. Maybe you're going to find that travel buddy, you know, and you're going to be doing a lot of traveling together or something like that. But it does, from the cards, indicate that this is a time of strong connection with other people. Now, again, this is a general reading, so it goes out to many people. If you want to order the Aries Ingress reading, I offer it every year because it's an important astrological event in itself. But this year it's doubly important because of this Saturn, Neptune, and because I'm also going to be discussing the eclipses in it. So it's super powerful if you want to get in on it. Only through my website. Don't be fooled by imposters. All right, next let's take a look at the sign of Virgo. Well, this is one of your money houses. The 8th house is joint finances, money from the partnerships, money from your partner. You know, if you're coupled, this could be your partner's income or something happening there. It's also the house of sex, death, and taxes. It's a house of unearned income too. You could be money windfalls and things like this could happen. You know, but with the Saturn being there. Again, I need another drink of water. Sorry. With the Saturn being there, this is hard work and effort. I'm picking up that this is hard work and effort of something you've been dreaming of, or even creating. Virgo, you're not averse to hard work. So, you know, the hard work energy coming through, not surprising one bit. Also, Virgo, the second eclipse is going to be in your sign. So that'll be covered in the Aries thing, the reading I have there. But, you know, you could, through something that you've been working on with that Saturn for a very long time, Neptune, all of a sudden the dream could happen, or a portal could open, is what my guides are saying. But it could be like, well, this happened with me. I don't want to go into too many particulars. This is some artwork that I did a long time ago, more than 10 years ago. I've never put it on the channel, or I've never debuted it publicly, because it was artwork that was for a specific purpose. And it didn't pan out at that time, and I kind of just forgot about it. I have so much stuff that I created that I just like, whatever, I don't even think about it. And then this opportunity came up, and they were looking for this kind of artwork. And I applied to that thing, which I still haven't heard back, and I may not hear back. But a portal did open for me because I started researching it, because it's a niche thing. And this thing that came up, this opportunity, whether they choose my artwork for it or not, really doesn't even matter, you know, because it's like, well, they're not the only place like that in the world. There's literally probably thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. And this is a niche that I can, and that's what I'm going to be doing. I've already started the process. I'm going to be sending out inquiries to this niche. You know, so I pulled this art that had been set aside for 10 years, and I hadn't thought about it. And just this post on this job, well, it's this art opportunity email thing that I get, you know, newsletter, opened my eyes to, hey, this stuff is pretty cool, and maybe I can do something with it, even if it's not the opportunity that I'm hoping that awakened me to it. But it put me back on that path, that this stuff is really cool, and it should be seen, and it should be used. And that's, I feel, kind of the energy I'm picking up for you. Something that you worked long and hard on, you may all of a sudden either find out, hey, the money's there with the 8th house, get some kind of award or endowment kind of thing, grant. But also you may see, like I did, oh, there's other ways I can use this thing that I've worked so hard on, and there's a whole world is opening up to me, a portal to another world that I didn't even think about before. Okay, let's get 2 cards for our Virgo's Sun, Rising, Moon. 8 of Rods, 6 of Swords. I mean, you're ready to move on. You're ready to move on to greener pastures. That's the message that came through. You're coming out of the turbulent water. You know, the hard work is done. Now is going to be the time of receiving. And you can see it. This isn't not far off of what I was saying earlier, you know, because here's the turbulent water. You're trying to get them. They want, like, and I'll just use my situation again as the example. Whereas, you know, I want these people to buy this art or use this art for this thing, and they're not getting back to me, and it's frustrating, and it's just like, well, it seems so cool, but then it's like, aha, there's somebody over here who would want this art. Maybe, you know, there's a whole big mountain of people over here that might want this art. And it's leading to some kind of a big celebration. Now, bringing it down to a real mundane level, if there's some kind of thing going on, a convention where people are gathering, even a wedding, an out-of-town wedding, or there's some kind of convention or something where people are gathering, you should absolutely go. You could absolutely make important contacts, maybe business partnerships, or somebody who wants to back your project or invest in your project, or you could team up with on a business partnership situation. All right, Virgo, well, if you want to order the Aries Ingress, it's a doozy this year. It really is. I mean, there's so much to talk about. And in your case, especially because you will have that eclipse in your sign, we'll definitely dive into that. All right, next we're going to look at Libra. Now, Libra, you are also one of the cardinal cross. So the cardinal cross are the 4 cross signs here. We have Libra, Aries, Capricorn, and Cancer, okay? So in your case, this is an opposition to you. This is so the opposition can be difficult. I'm not going to lie. You know, it could be difficult. It could be things literally opposing you. Also, though, it can be, you know, an opportunity for a partnership or something happening. If you're coupled, it could be something happening with your partner. If you're not coupled, you could definitely meet somebody. This could be a very powerful and long-lasting relationship that's setting up at this time, because it's 0 Aries, it's new. It could, if you're already romantically involved, it could also be, though, a business partner or some other type of partnership. Other people's stuff, though, is going to potentially take priority and be, you know, in the spotlight at this time. Neptune, make sure you know what you're getting into, because Neptune can also be illusions and you cannot see things clearly. And this is going to be going on for a longer time. The Neptune is going to be in there for, I think, 12 years or so. Saturn's going to be gone in a few years. Saturn can also, you know, you could be sort of sucked into some kind of karmic relationship that's not great, you know. And, you know, because Neptune, you don't see the reality of it, and then you feel that pull. So, you know, be cautious. It doesn't have to be bad. Saturn does bring rewards as well, and Neptune brings rewards too. You know, dreams, makes dreams come true. But just make sure that you're seeing things clearly as far as other people go at this time. Let's go ahead and get 2 cards for Libra. You have the 7 of Cups. Your dreams are coming reality. That's Neptune all the way. And 10 of Cups. So some of you could be meeting your dream lover. Dream lover, 'cause I don't want to be that. So you could be meeting that dream lover. Wow. I mean, this is really good. 10 of Cups is the card of happiness, joy. It's the marriage card. When you get 7 of Cups with, a lot of people who talk bad about 7 of Cups, but I always see it as a positive card. It's visualizing, it's creating, you know, it's what we're doing. It's becoming conscious of what we're creating. So if you've been looking and you've got your list here, I want to meet somebody who's this, 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 and this, and this, you got this list. This person could be showing up in your life, you know, definitely. And you could be getting married or something like that. Or, and the same would be true with them. Like they're looking for somebody who has this, this, and this, and you have all those qualities. So it could be like a dream, you know, a dream union, I guess. So that's all a smudge on there. But again, with the Neptune, watch that the dream isn't an illusion. There is the chance of it being illusional. Well, I mean, when you first meet somebody, you always are. You know, you're in that honeymoon period. Your endorphins are going crazy, and you don't see them clearly. The other thing is that's grabbing me is the kids and the family. So this could be, well, it could be something you've been hoping for somebody in your family or your partner, and their dream is coming true, but you're part of it, and it's happy for everybody. But also, back to if it's somebody new, because this is that 0 Aries, if they would all get along. They'll like your family, you'll like their family. If you have kids, the kids will get along, all that good stuff, because that's important. Sometimes I remember, who was it, my cousin, she got married, and they had dogs, and the dogs hated each other. They were just constantly trying to. That ended up breaking up. Well, I'm sure it was other stuff, but the dogs hated. They would just constantly be trying to attack and kill each other, so they couldn't stay together. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know all the ins and outs of that personal relationship. But I mean, in that case, for me, I'm looking outside, looking in. I was thinking, well, if the dogs don't like each other, come on. Because I always like the dogs. If the dog doesn't like you, then there's something wrong with you. Sorry, there is. There was this is an old. This happened years ago. My kids are little. I had 4 dogs at the time because people in my family died. I ended up with 4 big dogs. I had a wolf, a chow chow, and 2 other big dog mutts. I had 4 big dogs, and I would sit on the front porch with them all the time and read in the afternoons. I haven't been able to do that in years because of all the chaos that's in my neighborhood now, but I used to love my porch and sit out there and read every day. And there was this guy that would come by, his old man. He took the bus. There was a bus up at the corner. He had his work uniform on, so he took a bus to work. And he would walk by like at the same time every day. And he seemed so sweet. He was so sweet. Oh, how you doing? Nice to see. I mean, and here, I'm a psychic too. I'm a freaking psychic, and I didn't pick up on it. He seemed so nice and sweet. My dogs would go ape shit. They would be growling and like trying to bust out of the porch to get at him. I'm like, what's wrong with you guys? Well, this is a sweet old man. What's the matter with you? Well, it came to find out that he was like some kind of pedophile or something. See, and I didn't even pick it up, but my dogs did pick it up. So I don't know. I don't know how we got off on this tangent, but if the dogs don't like him, then that's pay attention, because you could be under the veil of Neptune. All right, all right, Libra. Well, if you want to get out on the Aries ingress, we'll talk all about it, and we'll go into the eclipses and the whole deal. So check that out if you like. Okay, Scorpio, you're up next. Let's see here. Well, Scorpio, it's in your 6th house. I'm Scorpio rising too. Well, it's at 0 degrees, so, you know, that's the thing. These houses, this is only by using the 0 house system. It may not really be in your... See, I don't think it's... I keep forgetting to look. I know I have a 0 house cusp on my natal chart, but I think it's 0 and some change. It might be like 0.46 or something. But close enough. We're going to go with 6th house energy anyway. So 6th house energy is, you know, health and work, basically. And it's your pets. It's funny, I was telling that little pet story leading into your reading. But anyway, so 6th house, this is going to be an area of focus. Saturn is a good time to start these health regimes. Neptune, you could have your dream. If you've always said, well, I wish I could, you know, I always wanted to run a marathon. Well, this would be, Saturn could give you that discipline to start training for that marathon. Or I always wanted to do this, or whatever your dream is for your physical body and your health, you know, that could give you the discipline to start doing it. Neptune can also be illusion, so you know there could be mysterious things with your health situation. So definitely Neptune rules imaging too. So get those scans and those imagings done. The other thing is, as far as work goes, you know, you can land the positive thing with Saturn. All your hard work, because Scorpio, you're very hardworking too. Come on, I mean, I know you are. And you could have been working really hard for something and get the karmic payoff, but it could come in the form of Neptune, some kind of a dream situation, some kind of dream where your land your dream job, or if you've always wanted to work in a creative field, this could be something coming in a creative field. Maybe with Saturn through some older person maybe retiring. And I'm feeling for some, they could be showing you the business, or you could be their apprentice, and they could be turning it over to you. Somebody's doing like a print shop or silk screening shop or something like that, and they're ready to retire, and they're bringing somebody in. They're going to train them how to do it. So it could be a situation like that. All right, let's do a couple of cards and see what we get for Scorpio, Sun, Rising, Moon. Got to have strength. That could also be building strength. 7 of Cups, it did kind of fly out and go back in. That's been in here a couple times. Well, Neptune is 7 of Cups, very similar. It's dreaming. It's not quite in the real world. You're dreaming. It's illusional. Your dreams are coming to reality, but you're going to have strength and have patience. That's where the Saturn energy comes in. Having strength, having patience, persevering. You know, strength, if people, I don't really like to do health readings, but occasionally I'll get them. And Saturn, and of course, if you ever want to do it, you always talk to your doctor. Don't just go on what I say for any health thing or any psychic. You always go talk to your doctor. The strength card, sometimes when it shows in conjunction with health issues, it can just mean you're strong. You physically are strong. You have physical strength, and you're going to be okay. But in this case, it does feel like it's that slow burn of Saturn. You know, Saturn doesn't move quickly. What you're dreaming, it can become a reality, but you've got to have that patience, you've got to put in that hard work and perseverance, and then it can become a reality here. It could be something you've already been waiting on for some time even, you know, maybe even since the 8th month of last year of Leo time, the Lion, and the 8th, that could be Leo. So it could even be something you've been waiting on since then, and all of a sudden you can start to see it come to fruition. Okay, next we're going to look at the sign of Sagittarius. Scorpio, if you want to get the Aries ingress, head over to my website. Don't be fooled by social media imposters. There we go. Alright, Sag, well, this is in your 5th house of creativity, romance, children. Some of you could be having a child during this time frame for sure, getting pregnant or having a child. And, you know, because Saturn, your kids are your karmic relationships. Believe you me. If you have kids, you know. Saturn in the 5th, that can be, you know, definitely a time. And then when they have this Saturn return, they'll be in their late 20s, so that karmic cycle would be completed, you know. So, well, Saturn returned to the 5th house anyway. So, yeah, so it could be that, but it's also creativity. It's fun. Saturn kind of puts the kibosh on fun a little bit. Saturn's not really known for being all that fun, you know. Saturn's about hard work and perseverance and all that kind of stuff. So you might have a little bit of kibosh with the fun stuff. But again, you know, fifth house is sports too. If you wanted to get really good at a sport, you know, start with but a lot of people are inspired now because of the Olympics and everything. It's just like, you know, and you hear these Olympic athletes say, oh, I was 3 years old and I saw the Olympics and I told my mom right then I'm going to be an Olympic athlete, and I started training, you know, stuff like that. Or even your children, you know, because the fifth house is your children. Maybe your children want to, you know, take part in some sport, or they're inspired by the Olympics. Hey, with Neptune and Saturn, the dream can become a reality, but it's not going to become a reality without that hard work and effort. The fifth house is also creativity too, so some sort of creative endeavor could really start flourishing. But like I always say, you got to do your 10,000 hours. You know, you don't just wave a magic wand. Some people can and do, but even the people that are, you know, extraordinarily naturally gifted at whatever, you know, they still have to put in hard work and effort and training too. You know, that's part of it. Okay, let's go ahead and do 2 cards. We have news is coming in the time of fire. Well, this is it. That's the fire time. That's going to allow you to move on. Some of you, it might be an actual move. You might be moving on, you know, moving. News is coming. Maybe it feels strongly like it's actual moving. So it could be actual moving to a new house, but it can also be traveling. Maybe your news is coming about some trip you have planned. You know, it could be traveling in that way. More so, the Six of Swords traditionally just means moving out of the troubled waters and into the smoother sailing and seeing your goal within reach. Now, the waters is also very Neptunian. So you may have been in waters, the deep water, and you're not sure what's going on or which way it's going, or you may have just been out to sea, out to pasture, afloat. But now it's like land. I'm hearing land ho. He can see that land mask over there. And he's got, Saturn gives the direction. Saturn gives, this is Saturn, this big mountain here, that's Saturn for sure. You know, but you're going towards it, and it's going to, you can, you know, you're going to get to there, you're going to make it. You've heard the news, you've got, for some of you, you've got it's some sort of an entry where you're going to go travel to maybe some sort of a tournament or something, and that would make sense with fifth house too. Like you've been accepted in the entry. You know, maybe you're even going to be on Jeopardy. You know, you're going to go, or some other game show, and you're going to travel to go do this thing, like this fun, you know, fifth house kind of a thing. But travel and movement is big time, and that's your jam anyway. I mean, you are the sign of travel. You know, you are the sign. Oh, one last thing. You know, this page of fire, this could be you as a child, fifth house. You know, this could be your own childhood. This could be some childhood dream that you're recapturing and you're moving towards once again. Again, you know, there's so much going on. If you want to get the Aries Ingress reading, we'll dive into all of it, including the eclipses. So there's a lot to look at in this year's Aries Ingress. Only through my website. Don't be fooled by imposters. Okay, Cap, you're up next. Well, like we've said every time, you know, you're part of the cardinal cross. This is when things cross the sun, we enter into a new season. When the sun crosses these points, we enter into a new season. And we're entering into a new season of mankind, you could even say. I mean, really, it's a pretty big thing. Now for you, it's down in your 4th house of home and family, so absolutely could be a move. You know, that would be Astrology 101. 4th house could be a move, right? But also, 4th house is your whole foundation in life. 4th house is where you came from and what you, you know, where karmic situations, where you were, especially Saturn, it's like what was laid on you, what burdens, what fears and burdens were laid on you in growing up, you know, cautionary tales, you know. But, you know, here's the other part of it. You Capricorn, you are Saturn ruled. You know, you're a Saturn native. So you can work with that Saturn energy. But the Neptune may help you to really explore some of these deeper issues, these 4th house issues, these things that you're rooted in and maybe you haven't even known or seen or been aware of. But the Neptune could really unveil it. You know, you could have some really big downloads about beliefs and just different things that were laid on you as a child or growing up, that burdens that you no longer have to carry anymore. You know, you can have some major aha moments. Okay. All right, Kat, let's get 2 cards for you. Hangman. Hangman, hangman. Three of Cups. Well, if some of you have been kind of like hermiting it, which is not, that's a Capricorn thing for sure. If you've been kind of like, well, here's the getting the downloads too. But here, first point. If you've been, you know, kind of hanging back and not really socializing a lot, this could be a time when you want to socialize more. Maybe even have people over to your house. Or maybe if you've been did some big change about in your house and you want to have people over. Secondly, though, this ties into what I said in the beginning. Okay, if you can't tell, the Hangman actually is getting enlightened here. He's not being strangled or harmed in any way. He's paused, reflecting, he's getting the downloads. That's what I was saying about the Neptune. You could get downloads about where you have been burdened and held back, like I was saying, that you could be free of, that's going to allow you to enjoy life more. The Three of Cups, you know, that's a card of celebration. It could be an actual event in your hometown even, going back to your hometown if you've moved away from there. But the bigger picture of this, what I'm really getting for you guys, is if you take time for that reflection and allow that Neptune energy to show you some things, it could lighten you up so much. You could have a lighter, brighter, happier life by not carrying around all these burdens, by becoming aware of them and saying, you know what, I don't have to carry these burdens. Because, you know, Capricorn, you are A1 burden carrier. You know, that's your jam. And in Aries, this is a new way of dealing with all the energies, you know, with the Saturn and the Neptune, and a new way of dealing with life. It's a whole foundational thing for you. I mean, it's major. It's major for everybody. If you want to dive deep into your sign, and we'll look at not only this, but we'll look at the Aries ingress and both the eclipses, head over to my website only, not through social media, only through my website, and you can see that this is what the reading looks like on the page too. Next, we'll look at Aquarius. Now, Aquarius, this is going to be in your third house of communication. If you ever thought of taking up writing, this could be the time. Neptune is like where you have all these creative ideas flying around all the time. You're getting these down. You know, like me, I have tons and tons. I have notebooks full of notes, and now it's all these notes on my phone. You know, I have, it's, you know, I'm always getting the downloads, always getting the ideas. And then, but you never really got to it. And you're another one. There's that first eclipse is going to be in your sign too. So if you want to get that reading, we'll dive into that information too. But that's not nothing. You know, this reading is not about that. I actually did do a whole separate all signs video on that if you want to check it out. But starting to get eclipses in your sign is not nothing, and then Pluto being in your sign is not nothing. But so you're going through major transformation, no matter how you slice it. Okay. But this third house energy, you know, this could be writing, communicating. And the Neptune is all the dreaming and all the ideas and all the downloads. But Saturn is going to give you the discipline to get her done, to actually write that book, to actually do that thing that you've been dreaming of. It doesn't have to be a writing necessarily. You could get great benefit from writing and journaling just for your own self-exploration too at this time. Whatever you're dreaming of. This could be, you know, sending out those messages, getting a course of action, Mercury, a plan, making a plan, a solid plan, and actually carrying through with it with Saturn. Saturn will see it through. It's great to make plans, but if you don't see it through, then, you know, it's never going anywhere. All right, let's go ahead and get the two cards for Aquarius. We have Two of Wands, making a plan, exactly what I was saying, seeing your future. Yeah, don't letting the fears, because Saturn can bring in the fears. Now, your ancient ruler, you're kind of co-ruled by... I usually don't bring that in, because I feel like once Uranus was discovered, that was it. You know, it's Uranus all day long for you, but you do have a co-rulership of Saturn. Those two pillars are showing me the co-rulership here. So you can bring in the skepticism. The universe, you're getting the downloads from your higher self, the universe, whatever you want to call it, your angels and guides, and... Excuse me, I have a cough drop, but I need it. You're seeing, you got the plan, you see it, but then here comes the doubt. When I said that, I heard, "Here comes the judge, here comes the judge." That was from an old laugh-in. But that's perfect. Judging your dreams. Don't block yourself. Here comes the judge. It's perfect. You know, here comes the judging. Here comes the apprehension. Here comes the fear. Here comes all the reasons why you can't do it. No, you can do it. You can do it, Aquarius. You can do it. The sun is only rising. This is a new day, a new dawn. That's what the Zero Aries point is all about. Whatever your dream might be, you can do it. Don't let self-doubt and get in your way. That's the big message for you. Again, if we want to dive in, because you're getting that eclipse and everything, if you want to get that Aries ingress, we'll look at it all. And we'll look exactly where all this stuff is hitting, especially that eclipse. Because chances are, if you're Aquarius Sun, you probably have Aquarius, Mercury, that eclipse could be hitting all kinds of stuff. But last but not least, let's look at the Pisces energy. Well, Pisces, it's coming into your second house of money and possessions. Now, you're not really... Pisces want money. Everybody needs money and wants money. We need money to work in this world. We need to navigate this world. It runs on money. Pisces, you're kind of... That's not your main focus, usually. Or you're not... Not many Pisces are real, like, always striving to make more money. You guys are just like chill, and you're into your spiritual work and your creativity, and you're it's almost like you're beyond that. You're more advanced. Like one of my guys came through a while back about a channeling. It's just like, you might be from other societies you have lived in, didn't even have money. More spiritually advanced societies. Because as a Pisces, you come here as an advanced soul. So you've lived in many more advanced societies, and after all, this is this 6,000 year cycle, so it goes back a really long way. I think for most of you, you're just happy to have Saturn out of your sign. Let's call it what it is, right? Saturn's out of your sign. Let's dance a jig of delight, my guys are saying, because you're not carrying that burdensome Saturn, because that did not suit you well. That really obstructed all your flow and all your vibes, having that Saturn there. Yes, it may have helped you to build some background. Maybe with Saturn going through your sign, you did have to focus more on real world responsibilities like money and bills and stuff like that, But now it's moving into the second house, and Neptune is your ruling planet. You already got the Neptune down, So that this Neptunian, this creativity, this spirituality, you can monetize a lot of that right now. All the work you did within Saturn, this could be the payoff time these next few years with Saturn there. And working with the Neptune energy, albeit Neptune doesn't like to be in Aries, but still, that's your energy. And I feel like you're going to feel a lot lighter, and there could be some nice prosperity coming through for you. Maybe Saturn did kick you in the ass a little bit and give you a little bit of discipline to really, where before you might have been, well, I'll do this and then I'll do that. Your energy can be kind of scattered because you're just so in flow with, the tides and everything. Now it kind of, you could be more disciplined, and it could be really bringing something really solid through for you and bring some financial gains. Let's get 2 cards for Pisces. Look at that. Financial gains right out the bat. 9 of Pentacles. There you go. News coming in the time of fire about this is probably your home-based business. And this would not be a bad time to start a home-based business if you don't already have one. Or some kind of entrepreneurial thing. Because 9 of Pentacles, she's not beholden to anybody. She does her own thing, she makes her own schedule, and she is thriving her ass off, right? She's flourishing all over. Some of you, it could be 3 different streams of income that you have going on here. And she has time for leisure, pleasure. She has fine clothing. She's got money for extras, for the clothing and the pet supplies and everything. And her garden is flourishing. Here's what this... Now, it's interesting. What grabbed me right off was the sun on the medallion that this guy wears. You see how he has the medallion of the sun energy? So, yeah, he's fire. This is the 0 Aries point, but this is also could be the Aries ingress when the sun moves into Aries, exactly 1 month later. But see, this is all tied in the same thing. News is coming, inquiries. What's grabbing my attention, don't think I've ever noticed that on him, or they, I don't know. Looks like there's some kind of, this looked like jewelry. Well, for sure that looks like it's an earring. I've never noticed this part of the card on this, and I've been using this deck since it came out, I think in the late 80s. Not this deck. I've gone through about 10 of them because I wear them out. But these themes. So some of you, it could be some, and even the necklace grabbed me right away. So and she's got a necklace too. So it could be some of you, maybe you're going to be doing some jewelry. That's Pisces. I could see you guys start making jewelry and selling it or something like that. There's going to be opportunities to do so, and you're going to be hearing from people my guide said singing your praises. So if you do have, like, you're making jewelry or something like, somebody is making fishing lures, learning how to, or flies, where they got one of those setups where it's got the wire coming up and you're tying the fly and it has all the dangling things coming down from it too. Hey, I remember hearing about this person a while back. This was early on in the internet though. But they live somewhere like in Kansas or Oklahoma or somewhere right in the middle of the United States, and there's tumbleweeds. And they started selling tumbleweeds, and they were making millions of dollars selling tumbleweeds. I mean, you just never know. So fishing lures isn't out of the question, if you're really good at it or whatever. Whatever it is, with the Neptune there, you have an opportunity to be highly successful. And for many of you, it could be your own business or some kind of entrepreneurial thing for sure. All right, Pisces, well, if you want to dive into the whole thing, and we'll look at both the eclipses, because the second eclipse is going to be really, the one in March is going to be really powerful for you. It's going to be opposing all your Pisces energy. I mean, there's stuff for everybody. I do this Aries Ingress reading every year because it's an important thing in itself, because it's a snapshot of the energy coming up for the year. But this year, I mean, there is just so much. This part of it is still active, and then I'm also throwing in the eclipses because it's all happening in the same little time frame of a few weeks here, a couple weeks. So if you want to get in on that or any other readings that I offer, you must go to my website. Please don't be fooled by social media imposters. It's not me. And if you want to order the Aries Ingress, this is what it looked like on there. It makes it easy to find when you go to the website to order it. I hope you have a great... this is a big one for everybody. This is a big reset, a big karmic cycle. So hope everybody fares well through it. Don't let yourself get shaken up too much. Try to kind of ride it out, because I think it's going to take a good month or so for us all to kind of digest the whole. There's so much turmoil, and it's so much upheaval and turmoil. It's going to take a while for it all to kind of sink in and really see, how it affected us all. So try to stay cool, calm, and collected, and I'll see you again in the next video. Till then, bye.